Good evening. Welcome to the December 18th meeting of the Auburn Town Finance Committee. We have several items on our agenda tonight. First is to vote recommendations for the special town meeting warrant for the special town meeting on January 21st, vote on transfer requests, and look at minutes. So the first thing we want to look at is our warrant. We have 4 articles on the warrant. The first article is just to hear reports from the Finance Committee and other town officers. We don't need to take any action on that. Article 2 is to vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to acquire land for the Route 12 project and to authorize, et cetera. All right. Our DPW director is here, and I think I'll ask our DPW director to tell us about this article. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Finance Committee. So the Auburn Street project has been ongoing for quite some time, so I'll just give you a brief overview on that and then the importance of the special town meeting vote. So the project consists of reconstruction of Auburn Street from Walsh Ave to just south of the Brotherton Way intersection, pretty much to Central Street, but just shy of Central Street. We'll also include new traffic signals at Brotherton Way and Auburn Street, new sidewalks, brick feature strips, ornamental street lighting. The funds for the ornamental street lighting and the right-of-way takings were voted back in the last town meeting. The project was originally estimated at $3.2 million, and recently there were projects that were slated for advertisement this current federal fiscal year, which are not going to make the timeline necessary for advertisement for construction. So what that has done is created a void. I believe it's about $8 million. So the town of Auburn is in a good position to try to move our project up 1 year for advertisement. And so for us to do that, the design plans are currently at 75% plan approval and approaching 100%, I think, in January. So within a few weeks, the plans will be 100% complete. There's been several amenities that have been added to the project because of the funding that is now available. It will now also include bridge deck repairs over the Auburn Street Bridge over Dunn's Brook, also the bridge railing, some work to the Route 1220 traffic signal pedestrian portion of the lights, and also some additional funds available for some of the landscape features that we were originally going to be paying for. So it's about $200,000 in streetscaping items that were slated for the town of Auburn to fund, that they feel as though they could justify funding as part of the Mass DOT project. So with all these additional improvements, the estimate is now at $4.5 million for the project. And one of the critical things for Mass DOT was to feel comfortable recommending this project be moved up on the TIP, the Transportation Improvement Program, which is still ongoing. And part of the reassurance for that is to ensure that we will have the right-of-way in place. And what I mean by right-of-way is mainly temporary construction easements. There are some minor permanent easements on some of the properties. And I believe there are 15 affected property owners. They've been notified, and we will be meeting with them one-on-one in the next few weeks to discuss the easements. There's no major land takings. Again, they're all sliver takings or construction easements. So the town warrant article is a vote for the town meeting members to authorize the Board of Selectmen to make the takings, so the easements, because normally that would be town meeting. And in speaking with Mass DOT, they weren't comfortable waiting till the May annual town meeting, because if by any chance town meeting members did not support this, then another project would potentially move in. They want to make sure whatever project they slide into this position is going to be ready for advertisement. So they felt as though a special town meeting would be necessary for them to feel comfortable supporting the project. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, great. Any questions?
Just a quick one. What's construction easement, what is that?
So it's a 3-year temporary easement. It's more for chasing driveway slopes back. So if they are widening the roadway, and it's just a lot of instances we're actually narrowing over by the Verizon store, we're actually narrowing significantly in that area to provide areas for landscaping, street trees and other amenities. But if there are areas where we're widening and they have to chase the slope in to repair their driveway to make sure it's a smooth transition, then they go beyond the right-of-way that the town owns. A lot of times, people will say rule of thumb, 10 feet off the road. It's not always 10, sometimes it's 6 feet, 8, can be any number. So once they go beyond what the town owns, they would need a temporary construction easement if it's just for sloping work or loaming seed type of work. I think there are a couple areas where there may be some drainage work. So if it's more of a permanent nature, whether it's a manhole or a catch basin or guy wire for utility pole, those would be permanent easements because those items would stay there permanently and allow us an area to maintain them. So those are typically what the permanent and temporary easements are for this project. And again, the temporary would be for 3 years to give us enough time to make sure all the work is completed. Wouldn't expect it to take 3 years. I'm anticipating if this gets moved up, we advertise next year, it's going to be later in the year that it gets awarded. Construction would start in the spring of '21 and substantially complete after 1 year. But probably could roll into the next year with punch list items. So I would expect 2 years, but they take for 3 years just to be safe.
So it just gives us the legal authority to work
On private property.
into their private property.
Exactly.
At some point, once it's done, a good chunk of that goes back to them.
And the temporary would just completely go back to them. And actually, it stays with them. It just gives us a legal right to access their property. Thank you.
Any other questions? I have a question. I want to just verify the town appropriated $1.2 million for our share of this project in last May. So the DOT is paying for a large portion of it.
They are picking up about 200, and I think it's even a little over 200,000 of the landscape items. So I wouldn't expect that the 1.2 million would be fully utilized.
Okay, great. All right, so do I hear a motion to recommend approval?
Motion to recommend?
Thank you. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. All opposed? All right, thank you. The next article is Article 3 from the school committee, and it's to see if town meeting will amend a CIP article from the May 2019 town meeting to amend and use the money to use for another activity. Would you like to come up and tell us about this, please, Cecilia? Good evening.
At the town meeting in May of 2019, the amount of $80,000 was allocated for capital improvement building repair at Auburn High School. Some of these funds, or a portion of these funds, were to upgrade the front facade at the Auburn High School. But the school department was fortunate and ever so grateful to be able to partner with the Bay Path vocational program and benefit from the skills of the students and staff who completed the necessary work to the front of the facade at the high school in the beautiful fashion. They did a great job. We were very fortunate and very happy. With the project being completed, the district is looking to repurpose these CIP funds to follow in line with our mission. We're always looking to provide programming that meets the needs of all of our students, including those with special needs. The school department would like to repurpose $40,000 of this in order to create appropriate learning spaces, including handicapped accessible bathrooms and cooking areas for vocational programming as part of a specialized program that they want to implement at Auburn High School. The remaining $40,000 would still be used for the resurfacing of the tennis and the basketball courts as originally planned. In fact, Mr. Fahey recently secured a quote for the professional landscape architectural services required to get this project underway. So the school department respectfully requests your support and approval of this article.
Thank you. Any questions? I have a question. Is this for, this vocational program, is that for the special ed students, and is it a new program, or is it an existing program already?
It's a program that they're trying to implement. It's a new program that they're looking to implement, so, and it requires some extra spaces, and, you know, they're working to promote. We try to keep as many of our students in-house and provide services for them, and so we're trying to accommodate all of their needs, so this will help us do that, so.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion to recommend?
Motion to recommend?
Second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, thank you very much. All right, Article 2, Article 3. Article 4 is submitted by the DPW Director to see if town meeting will vote to appropriate $55,000 from FEMA 2018 snow reimbursement funds for the purchase and installation of a mobile column heavy-duty lifting system for the fleet maintenance unit of the DPW, or act on anything relative there through to. Sure. Okay.
Again, so this is a purchase that came up recently when speaking with Fleet Mechanic One, and also speaking with the CFO at Kasanovich regarding how we could potentially fund this item. So we currently have a ramp system that's permanent in the highway garage that we drive our vehicles up to, and then we can lift them similar to what you see on the knee and the drawing, so they're able to service the vehicles. The current lift is not large enough to lift a lot of the fire apparatus, so that, you know, puts us at a disadvantage on servicing fire equipment, and oftentimes they can get underneath a fire truck, but they can't lift it high enough, so if they need to drop a fuel tank or drop, you know, large component of the fire apparatus, they have to send that truck out to be serviced. Additionally, if a vehicle obviously needs to be towed in, you know, at times you'd have to push this vehicle, you know, with another piece of equipment onto the ramp to be able to lift this equipment. So there's currently funding available from FEMA reimbursement money that we received last year for, I believe, several storms that we had during that time. And I believe there's about $72,000 available from FEMA. So we thought, considering the current ramping system is due for inspection, I believe, in March. We believe that it will pass inspection, but there's always a concern for the life expectancy of that lift. So with this particular lift, we'll be able to extend the life of that lift. We'll still utilize it, but we'd be able to utilize this one. And another benefit with this particular lift is these are portable. So a large lift that's large enough for a fire apparatus would probably take up 3 or 4 spaces in our garage. Very tight quarters currently. Our garage is filled completely with equipment. We try to get as much equipment out from outside in the garage as possible. So we have them parked on both sides and right down the aisle in the middle. So every snowstorm, we have to pull the equipment out in the middle so we can get the trucks out. So we really don't have the room to allow another lift. So with this one, we better roll these units out of the way. But they're also, if a truck breaks down, once we get it into the garage, we can roll these units right over to the vehicle where we're going to service the vehicle and raise it at that location. So it's something we see as a benefit to service the larger vehicles, save space, and just you know, help us work on other trucks that we're unable to work on currently.
Okay, good. Thank you. Any questions? Yes, Kevin?
Just, are we within the guidelines and rules of the FEMA reimbursement funds, that are those funds not specifically earmarked to replace like snow, ice, or salt? Are we within the guidelines to utilize that money for this?
Typically, if it's reimbursement in the same year, we're required to offset snow and ice deficits. We covered that liability by surplus funds. We transferred it from our reserve account. Given that, this now becomes an available fund and can be voted for any purpose as long as it's approved by town meeting.
Yes, sir.
How much does it typically cost to have these vehicles serviced outside of the town?
It really depends on what it is we're sending it out for. I can tell you that anytime you send out a large piece of equipment, truck, loaders, and those, you get into sometimes thousands of dollars of cost. So when DPW took over the fleet maintenance repairs, I know there was a significant savings on, even with the fire apparatus. This will allow us to do more maintenance on them and more repairs, with the exception of the fire ladder truck. I think is the only piece of equipment that I think is still going to be too large for us to be able to put on this lift. So we would expect additional savings by having less repairs going, being out service for the fire department too.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Do I hear a motion to recommend approval? Thank you. Second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. All right, let's see. Next on our agenda, we have a transfer. This is a transfer, interdepartmental transfer in the Human Resources Department, coming from the salary line item with which has a present balance of $2,196 over to the office supply line item. Our request is $400, and that's to replace fax, printer, and copier. Okay. Mr. Casanovich, question, will there be enough money left in the salary line?
Yes, because a portion of this individual's salary is charged to the health trust account, so that is a true surplus as of right now.
Okay, great. Any questions, gentlemen? Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Second? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No, thank you. All right. Last on the agenda is minutes. We have received minutes from April 10th. Does anyone have any questions regarding the minutes? Okay, so we don't need to vote, though, correct?
You can just accept them.
Okay, we accept the minutes as written, and of course, if anyone has any question later, they can make that known. All right, is there anything else? Yes, gentlemen? No, so I think we don't need to set a new meeting now. We can wait till the new year. Well, actually, we don't need to meet before the special town meeting? No, so our next meeting will be at the special town meeting, but we don't need to meet beforehand. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second? All in favor? Aye. Thank you.